So, at long last, we have arrived. We've played through 20 plus sessions of Iron Sworn,
Oh my
18
god.
sessions of StarForged, all the same storyline of these Ironlanders who found a spaceship, who went into space to find a very strange galaxy, and they have now found a new home. And with me to bring our Starforged campaign to its thrilling conclusion is none other than Caleb. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. It feels really good to be back after what feels like a century. And I mean, to be closing this thing out, I am so excited to see where everything gets left on the board, you know?
Let's see what happens. I mean, where it kind of anything can happen. To be honest, we don't have a ton of progress made on our big giant goal of settling on this planet, so we want to try to make as much progress as we can this session, and then we're going to roll on our legacies to see what the outcome of both half and the rest of the Ironlanders is. How we're going to bring it to a close. So let me kind of recap and bring everybody up to speed. Our Ironlanders turned Starforgers have entered a vault with kind of interdimensionality. We find ourselves in this strange place. It's almost like a pocket dimension. And after much traversing, we finally came to the planet that was told to us by the Sacro Shamu is hidden and that nobody knows, and that where we could live peacefully. In our attempt to land on the planet, the one ship we had left, the Chum Bucket, was just too beat up, and we realized KB telling us that it just wasn't going to make it. So the best option was to escape in our pods, our escape pods. So that's what we did, and the roles decided that half and some of the Ironlanders landed in a certain section of this planet that is a very kind of northern, cold, mountainous terrain, similar to the planet that we lived on all of those years. So familiar. I currently have the map kind of busted out here, and I'd like to think that maybe half landed somewhere in this area, kind of to the northeast, and maybe to the north or the southeast is our remaining troop.
Got
So
it.
we crash landed, got out of our pods, and we realized that KB was like in each pod. Like his mind is kind of spread out across all of these pods, and Amanda and I realized, oh, this will be interesting. In 100 years, when these pods are still around, maybe people will travel to these pods as like temples to talk to the magical KB or whatever.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we decided, okay, we got to find the other Ironlanders, and we started heading on our way. And something we learned was that there was a species of like dinosaur, like ice dinosaur, kind of used to the cold temperature. Of course, Amanda was playing, so dinosaurs got
Yeah,
involved.
dinosaurs. That makes sense.
And we tried to tame some of them to make it a little easier on our journey, and that didn't work. In
Of
fact,
course.
things got a little bit more hairy because it ended with a big, like, rhinoceros elephant like creature kind of getting hearing us, trying to tame these dinosaurs, and attacked us. We managed to get away and separated ourselves from that situation. So we join half again. Now, with things have calmed down. We got away from this crazy monster, and we're kind of back to square one. We haven't really progressed much, but it's time to get the hell to our remaining Ironlanders. So with that in mind, knowing that we have to undertake a little bit of an expedition, I have made a vow for us. We have 4 out of 10 progress. If we can complete this vow, we find the other Ironlanders, and we're that much closer to completing our final vow. So with that in mind, what do you think is the best move to do, Caleb? What are we doing?
I think that we've got to start that expedition. I mean, do we have a sense of where exactly those escape pods are? Did we have a heading in that direction, or
Yeah,
was?
I
Oh,
definitely think we know that it was to the kind of southeast
southeast.
of us, there is like a small mountain range that we can either go over or around to get to them.
So I think that half sees that mountain range as a shorter through distance onto the other side, so that we can get to our buddies before the ice storm dinosaurs get to them first. So I think half is going to prepare an expedition, running through the mountain pass and carving a way through to the southeast.
And we have like 3 or 4 Ironlanders with us, that kind of landed on our side. Um,
Yeah.
so we're gonna undertake that expedition. Let me pull up the move to do just that. First move of the last game. We're going to undertake the expedition. Now we can roll with Edge, Shadow, or Wits. If you open the half character sheet, you'll
Right.
see that I think his. Let me just real quick pull up our summary here. Stop touching the character sheet
I'm
for
sorry.
a second.
I forgot we're both doing it.
Heart, Shadow, and Wits are, I think, what we roll on, and Heart is our strongest. Actually, wait, I might be saying that wrong. Edge, Shadow, and Wits. Shadow would be our strongest asset for half if we're going to do that.
Yeah. So I think Shadow would be the way to go then. I think that we're skulking up this mountain, taking our sweet time to do so, trying to avoid whatever manic versions of the wildlife can get to us up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and roll your Shadow.
Okay.
Let's see how we do. Welcome, Reckless Attack. Welcome, CMYK Matter, Ghost of Eli. Hope you guys are enjoying yourself. All right, we got a weak
hit.
Weak hit. Here we go. On a weak hit, you will reach a waypoint, envision the location, and mark progress per the rank of your expedition, but the progress costs you. So we will either make 2 suffer moves, 1 big suffer move, or face a peril, which we'd roll a d100 to figure out what that might be.
I think let's go with a big suffer move. I think that this is a harrowing adventure. I mean, I'm picturing like Lord of the Rings on the way to Moria sort of thing. Mountains fighting back against us, a big blizzard at the top, and we're just, 5 people against the world, essentially.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So let's do a big suffer.
Okay, so we're going to reduce one of our stats by -2. Now, do we suffer supply, spirit, or health?
I think it's spirit, because I think that this whole adventure is very hard on the emotion. We're all thinking, man, this was supposed to be our paradise, and we're not even all together. And
Right.
we could die right here, and the journey could be over. We could end our legacy here on this mountain. So many spirits are down on the top of this mountain.
Gotcha. So we need to reduce our spirit by 2, so it's going to go to 3. And let me go to our suffer moves, where we will endure stress. We're going to face mental strain, shock, or despair. Now, we're either going to roll spirit or heart, whichever is higher, but I think our spirit is higher.
Yeah,
'Cause we got
it sure
3.
is.
So let me change your spirit to 3 and go ahead and roll that spirit.
A strong hit with a
Nice.
match.
Okay, that's very
Wow.
good. So on a strong hit, you can either shake it off. If you are not shaken, take +1 spirit, which you're not. You're not shaken. Embrace the darkness, take +1 momentum. Either way, because it's a match, you can either take a flavor bonus, like this, things are getting better quickly, or I'll allow you to reduce or gain 2 spirit instead of just 1.
I think I'll go with the flavor there. I'm thinking that half gives some rousing speech in the middle of this expedition that keeps spirits up and keeps them moving even faster through the mountain. And just as they're starting to move, they find a shortcut through, and the momentum bursts as everybody's like, well, maybe it's not nearly as dark as we thought, right?
Right, exactly. Now, you can still either take +1 spirit or +1 momentum, whichever you prefer.
We'll take that +1 momentum. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Going all in today. Your momentum goes to 8, and
Awesome.
we can continue the expedition. So it sounds like we can, under our vows, bring this find the Ironlanders up by I think it was dangerous, so we'll bring it up by 2. We have 6 out of 10. We can continue the expedition, or we can do something else.
I don't like the odds of 6 out of 10,
Yeah.
so let's continue that expedition. Let's at least get a few more marks in there.
Got it.
We got a ways to go here.
Are we going to continue stealthily, or are we doing something else? Moving with speed? Also, I might add real quick, Caleb, we're at the top of a mountain. It might be worth gathering information to get an idea, because you would imagine you'd be able to see where our allies might be.
You're very right. I mean, we'd have a full berth of the valley, right? So let's get out to a looking point, after this speech, after we've made such considerable ground. Before we begin the trip down the mountain, I want to get a look at everything around us.
I'm getting a very Moses and the Ten Commandments vibe for some reason.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. We're the nomadic refugees.
If Half comes down with a bunch of tablets, I think it'll be interesting. All right, so we're going to gather some information. You're going to roll plus wits.
Okay.
And we'll see what comes of that.
Okay. I'm going to press the summary page, and it's going to move
fine.
it for us.
That's where you want to be.
Okay. A weak hit. There we go.
You don't have the best wits, too, so that's kind of impressive. With a wits of 1, that's great. So, you are gathering information. On a weak hit, the information provides new insight, but complicates your quest. Envision what you discover. Take +1 momentum. So something good happens, but there's a complication to that.
So I think the good thing that happens for sure is we see the Ironlanders.
Okay.
We're close enough that we can actually see them down in the valley itself. I think the complication is that there is this strange geometric shape floating over the Ironlanders themselves. Think like an obelisk, almost.
Oh, interesting.
That is clearly pursuing the Ironlanders themselves, and they're in some sort of a standoff down in the valley.
Interesting.
And it'll be up to us to get down and find out exactly what's happening.
So if there's a standoff, there has to be some kind of reason why whatever this thing isn't completely doing whatever it is it's planning to do to them. I don't know if maybe they're in some kind of position. Maybe they're in a hill, or they're in a cave or something of some kind.
In my mind, I mean, they've learned from Half. They've learned from each other for a long time. Ironlanders, in our history at least of playing this game, have been pretty scrappy and hiding and keeping themselves hidden. So I definitely think it's sort of like a guerrilla tactic of staying close to the trees, and they're perched into an area where only we can see them from the skyline, and this obelisk is sort of floating in position around them.
I like that. I like the idea of maybe, Half sees a couple of the last Ironlanders running into the forest.
Yeah.
And this strange obelisk kind of following them, and then kind of staying, maybe doesn't go into the forest, maybe is, like you said, around the perimeter of it. So he knows there's something, some kind of intelligence or something that is kind of threatening the other Ironlanders. So, all right. So we know what we have to do. We've got to get to them. We have 6 out of 10 progress. Time to undertake our expedition. But real quick, because we gather the information, we can increase our momentum by 1. So now we have 9. And now we're going to do that. So let's roll with Shadow, unless you'd like to roll with something else to undertake this expedition.
Let's definitely do Shadow.
All right, let's do it. See what you get.
Ooh. I'm going to burn the momentum.
Okay.
It was a strong hit.
Could have been a miss, but you're going to turn it into a strong hit. We're going to burn that, and it's going to take you back to 2. And we are going to take a strong hit. So on a strong hit, you reach a waypoint, envision the location, and mark progress per the rank of your expedition. So because of that, we will have another 2. We'll have 8 out of 10 progress. And what is this new waypoint that we reach?
Man, so I think we finally reach the bottom of the mountain and enter into this valley. So I mean, Half and the other Ironlanders are scrapping over boulders and rocks and sliding down the mountain. It is this mad dash to try and get to that situation with the Ironlanders and save their people before they lose half of their landing force.
Mm-hmm.
And so we come out into this valley that is largely It's emptied for this long plain, and that's where the obelisk sits in that center, and sort of skirts around that perimeter like it's finding the circumference of a circle basically around
Mm.
the plains, and then that is perimetered by these really thick forest lines where the Ironlanders are hiding in between, and they're beelining between the trees.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, so Half knows that there is this potential threat. He needs to either neutralize it or communicate with it. What is the first approach?
So I think the first approach is actually, I mean, Half has been through so much. We have to at least once learn something, right? And so Half is going to attempt to regroup with the others and find out exactly what's going on first. So
Gotcha.
before we even approach this obelisk or decide what comes next, Half is thinking of their people first,
Makes
and
sense. You're going to go
they
talk.
want to
Go ahead.
they want to run through the forest line and talk with the other Ironlanders.
All right, we have 8 out of 10 progress on this vow of finding the remaining Ironlanders. We could roll on it now, or if you want, we could say that you're far enough that you might need to undertake the expedition of getting to them.
I feel good about an 8 out of 10.
8
I
out of
mean,
10
I
is pretty
shouldn't,
damn good.
but let's do it, I think.
You are going to roll 2d10, and you just
Okay.
want to hope that at least 2 of them, or at least one of them, is under 8. Ooh, nice. That means a strong hit. A 1 and a 7.
Okay.
That is a strong hit. We are going to we're going to complete this vow. Let's fulfill our vow. On a strong hit, your vow is fulfilled, and you will mark a reward on your quest legacy track. This was a dangerous, so we'll mark 2 on our legacy track. This is good because our legacy track has to do with how we end our game. Kind of the overall legacy of our character. So we get to the first tree line. We meet the other Ironlanders. What do they tell us? Do we come up with it? Do we roll for the Oracle? Do we gather information?
So I think in this situation, let's go to the Oracle. I think it'll be interesting if that decides for us. I mean, we've always done it in the past. It's the finale. We might as well see what this game is so great for, and that's creating the drama for us. Let's see it.
All right. So, what is the question we're asking the Oracle? Is this thing, has this thing been attacking the Ironlanders, or?
Yeah. Let's ask it if it means harm.
Has it demonstrated harm?
Yes. Has it demonstrated harm?
Okay. I think really it should be 50-50 for this one, because if it's just as interesting if it hasn't, because then we can have kind of a social situation here.
Yeah.
So let's roll a D100, 51 or greater. Yes, it has shown harm, or yes, it has not. You decide.
I think greater than 50 should be peaceful.
Okay.
Less than 50 is violent.
Makes sense. Let's see what we get. 51 or greater, it is peaceful, and it is peaceful.
There it is.
So, maybe the other Ironlanders are like, it just spooked the hell out of us, and we just kind of ran away from it.
Right. We'd run into so many other things that tried to kill us on sight. It was just natural response.
But it has an
I like
attack.
to think
Yeah.
that it's like broadcasting like a loudspeaker almost in this language that we don't understand. So in between them, huddled in this forest tree line, there is this loud, like, think War of the Worlds remake of that booming, unintelligible alien language
Right.
that's shooting through the perimeter. And the other Ironlanders are like, we weren't running towards that. And so it's a situation of they've got no idea what this thing wants.
That makes total sense to me. Real quick, I just remembered that our extreme challenge of settling on this vital world, I think we're that much closer. So we now have 6 out of 10 progress for that, which is good.
Awesome.
Okay, so knowing that it hasn't attacked, knowing that it's projecting this strange sound that maybe sounds like language, what is Half thinking to do next?
So I think at this point, gathering information makes a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
I think that they come together, they realize, through watching this thing that it just sort of comes to the perimeter, throws out that language and doesn't do much past that, and with the new Ironlanders information, it's clear that they could try something. And so I think it becomes a big, stakeout of this strange shifting geometric
Hmm.
shape out there in the plains. Maybe it's even something that takes a day and a night of just waiting and watching and seeing, and trying to figure out what it is that this thing wants.
Just being extra cautious and really trying to understand it. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead and make a wits roll,
Okay.
and let's see what happens. You rolled pretty well on wits last time. Oh, not so well this
Oh,
time.
yeah, not this time.
All right, on a miss, your investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth that undermines your quest. Now, we do have to pay the price. So
Okay.
roll another d100, and let's see what that means.
74.
On a 74, you waste resources, is what it says. Now, we don't necessarily have to do that. I like the idea. I mean, it does make sense that if we're just waiting around so long, we're eating our rations and etc.
Yeah.
This is probably
Uh,
forest that doesn't have a ton of like creatures and stuff in it.
I think that tracks. I think it could easily be seen as half is way more interested in this thing than the rest of the Ironlanders
Hmm.
are. Some of them see this thing as the reason why, they almost died. And so the others are really hell bent on, why aren't we settling? Why aren't we working on finding our city? Why are we sitting here watching this thing? And half has this gut feeling.
Right.
They've always been so instinctual, and this is an instinct of like, no, this is something we've got to see it through.
All
And so
right.
we're wasting rations to get through that.
So this was a miss. Our investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth. What do we think that might be?
I think it's an unwelcome truth. I'm just wondering what that unwelcome truth is.
Maybe the unwelcome truth is we are not alone on this planet. I mean, we
Yeah.
have some kind of intelligent thing, that is clearly tracking us, trying to speak to us. Maybe it's even more complicated too, in the sense that this thing is like it just doesn't look alive. It's like an obelisk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking maybe exactly that. It doesn't seem alive, and it resembles some of the technology we saw on vaults,
Hmm.
like that shifting palace we got stuck in a time before, and some of the other technology we've seen that have been left out in the galaxy. And obviously that's commonly associated with terrible things we had to go through to get here.
Right.
And it's this unwelcome truth of not only is this thing here among this planet, but it means we really could never escape how dangerous this galaxy is. Whatever made those vaults is here making this as well.
Right. So we understand that this thing is probably some either remnant of the progenitor race that created these vaults. Who knows? Maybe it's an aspect of the progenitors themselves. Do we approach it? Do we contact it? What do we do?
Yeah, so I think that half believes it to be sentient. I mean, the use of that communication and the varied calls and the different words used, none of them intelligible, but it's enough for half to think, you know what? This is going to be our planet, and if it's going to be, we need to understand it. And so after this night of of losing rations and losing time and losing trust amongst the
Right.
Ironlanders, one of the grabs half on the shoulder and says, "Look, they're not going to listen to you for long. Whatever you're doing here, we're running out of time." And half shrugs it off and goes, "You know what? Fuck it, I'll talk to it," and walks out past the tree line, probably to the chagrin of everyone else, who
Mm.
calling it after him as he steps out in front of this sentient shifting obelisk.
I'm sure many of the Ironlanders are already drawing straws for who's going to be the next leader, as he's
Yeah.
doomed, right? So Half walks out. Set the scene. Is it day or night?
I think it's night. I
Okay.
think this is by torchlight. This has been the
Ooh.
entire day they've spent to it, and it's just become unavoidable in Half's mind. Either this happens right now, or they have to leave. They have to accept that they'll never know what's on this planet and what's going to kill them around the corner.
I'd
And
like to
so
go ahead.
it's go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'd
It's
like to think, just to kind of, paint the scene as well, the obelisk probably glows in some way. You know what I mean?
I was
It's
thinking
this,
the same thing, like a
yeah,
pale green glow that runs along these runes that go off the side, and so you have this imagery of Half, who probably has some version of a torch or some plasma in their hands, impossibly small in the huge shadow of this obelisk that floats in the center of this massive plane, this crop circle, basically.
yeah.
And they're standing out in front of each other, and the obelisk is slowly shifting around and standing right before him.
The Ironlanders have made contact with intelligent species before, but this is definitely kind of a new thing for them. Hollow Die Weiss Wolf says, it just turns out this was meant to be an IKEA speaker saying there needs to be a cleanup on aisle X.
Yeah,
That
that
would
makes
be
sense.
disappointing. So that's not what's going to happen. We are going to go speak with this thing. What are we doing? Are we facing danger? Kind of feels like we're facing danger. Kind of
Yeah.
feels like we might be making a connection. I think we might need to face danger first, though.
Yes, making a connection can be our ultimate goal,
Hmm.
but there's no telling that this thing actually does mean no harm to us.
Right,
Just
exactly.
just hasn't so far.
So we have our attributes: edge, heart, iron, shadow, or wits. If you were going out to be sociable, that would be with heart. If you are going out with aggression, that would be edge. That doesn't feel right. Expertise, focus, or observation is with wits.
I feel like Half is a very determined person and always has been. And this is something that he's become crystallized in his mind, that he is supposed to talk to this thing. It wants to talk. It's been broadcasting this language. It clearly wants some sort of response. Half is going to be the one to give it. I think it's hard.
Gotcha. So let me look real quick at your assets just to make sure that there's nothing we can use here. We have a weapon master, a veteran, and we do have a glow cat, by the way. I forgot. I keep forgetting to
Oh my
mention this.
God.
There's like a little glow cat that hangs out with you that glows. The reason I mention is because when you're talking to others, this
Oh,
creature has embodies those impressions through the colors and intensity of its fur. When you secure an advantage by studying your glowcat's reaction in a charged interaction, you may add your companion's health to the
okay.
to the roll. So that's just something to think about, maybe when you're talking with this thing.
Mhm.
Otherwise, there isn't really a face danger benefit. So we're gonna face danger using whatever asset you think is best.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that heart.
Okay. Rolling with heart, your best attribute. It should go well.
It should.
It should go
Strong
well.
hit.
All
Oh my
right.
God.
Hell yeah. Here we go. On a strong hit, you are successful. You may take +1 momentum, so that momentum's going to 3. What's so good about this interaction? What happens here?
I think that Half clearly has no idea what to say, but is going out there to say something and begins to call attention to it in the Ironlander's speech. Um, and I think that there is a recognition on the other side. And I think that I mean we use the Iron speech as well.
Oh, that's right.
We're,
Yeah.
we're signing along with that voice, and as Half is just starting to think it's not working, looking at the glow cat to see if there's any emotions off the
Mm,
side, and there's still just no show that this thing is even sentient, that it's
right.
alive, that it could be human. Um, he's just about to give up when the glow of the obelisk comes back up, and these shifting rocks come out from the side and begin to iron speak back
Oh,
to us.
gotcha. So
Um,
basically, the obelisk was kind of learning, like it was waiting for you to kind of go through some motions so it could learn your language.
Exactly.
I
And
like
so
that.
it comes about speaking, in sign to us, as well as eventually breaking up in that terrible War of the Worlds speech into well, our version of English, right? Our version of language between us.
So it starts signing at us, and what does it say?
Oh God.
We
Um,
could, we could, we could roll, just to maybe get some flavor, or what do you think?
I think um I think it could be a good time to roll. I have an idea for if we don't roll, but I don't think it's as good as rolling.
Let's roll. If we don't love it, we could always use a different your idea. Let's go real quick to the oracles to get that idea. So we've got a couple rolls here. We've got an action table, a theme table, a descriptor, and a focus table.
What do you think about a theme
Sure.
with theme hit
The
right?
theme of what it's talking about makes sense. Roll a d100, and let's see what the theme is.
Okay. 18.
An 18 is danger. Danger,
Oh,
Will Robinson. It's trying to inform us of some kind of danger. Maybe not necessarily immediately, happening, but a danger nonetheless. What do you think?
danger nonetheless. I like it. I just have no idea what that danger could be.
Danger could also mean
Oh, you know what? It doesn't specify when this danger is, right?
not yet.
Um,
No, we haven't defined that yet.
so maybe it is detailing a hugely long distance danger. Maybe it's a doomsday device.
Okay,
Foreseeing, some eventual ending to not just the planet itself, but to the galaxy itself, right?
interesting.
Um,
If it was
so
that, if it was that enormous, it would be a relatively benign threat because let's be honest, the Ironlanders aren't going to be around when that's an issue, right? Like when our sun explodes, like who cares? We're not going to be here for that.
so in my mind, I'm thinking maybe it's almost like a distress call for someone to solve it. Maybe it's a preventable instance. Now, I haven't worked out what that is that we have to prevent, but maybe this thing was put in place to bestow a mission on people, or at least to give a purpose
Yeah, you're
to
definitely
someone who
getting my
comes
mind
next.
kind of working here because now you're making me think. Okay, progenitor species
Yeah,
create like these series of pocket vault dimension type things. They've got this like default planet that we find and land on.
yeah,
You know, the goal of a progenitor or an extremely advanced race might be something as wild as escape the inevitable heat death of the universe.
right.
And perhaps this obelisk is like, my goal is to educate or guide some race into that, goal.
Yes. And so it is sort of giving us this mission to prevent that heat death in the same breath that it's offering to be the guide, essentially. In my mind is like I'm going to feed you the information of an ancient centuries gone
Sure.
race, everything that they had so that you can be prepared for when it's your time to pass the torch to build another obelisk and give it off to the next person to.
That's very interesting. It makes me think of, there's Dune vibes there of
Yeah,
like, there's all this setup for a potential like, kind of race of people that kind of reach this apex of technology and kind of start taking over the universe or whatever. It's interesting because our Ironlanders are always so on the edge of survival, and what this thing is offering is godhood in a way. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it is utopia essentially. You found the vaults, you listened to our messages, you found this world,
Right.
and you're to be celebrated. You're to join the progenitors and become the next echelon of utopian society and give something back to the world now that you are sort of given peace.
Interesting. So here's the thought I'm having, which is that half is intelligent enough to realize, KB, another artificial intelligence, kind of guided them here or helped them here. Um, does half, taking the time to. Maybe this is the course of like many days. Half is communicating with this thing. Maybe the other
I think so.
Ironlanders come out and are like less terrified of this thing, and,
I
and
think we
maybe
start camping in
yeah,
that plane, that crop circles where we make our first camps, and this is the fruit of many days
right.
of discussion.
And what I'm trying to get at is that half probably comes to a crossroad, because what we're implying is that these Ironlanders would be guided, but kind of taught, kind of schooled, and kind of designed into a certain fate. Is that
Yeah.
something that Half believes is the best thing for the Ironlanders? Or does he think, you know what, as long as this thing doesn't attack us, we're going to go our way. We're going to make
Right.
our own decisions, because this thing is offering us godhood, but we don't know what the hell that means. It's hard to fathom that.
Yeah, I think definitely half is at a point of view where half feels out of their depth at this point. I mean, it's enough information to understand that they've got to make a decision as a leader, but not enough to, you know, it is the decision between possibly preventing the, disintegration of the rest of existence,
Right.
or living out peacefully until you die of
Right.
old age and never having to worry about it's the same sort of combat we're having here on earth of, should we pay it forward,
Right.
or should we consider that we only have so many years on this earth? And so I think that in this time, lacking a mentor, within the Ironlanders as they're the leadership.
I'll say
I,
this. I mean, there are a bunch of Ironlanders. We could take the time to communicate with our Ironlander tribe if you wanted to.
yeah, I think first half goes to KB.
Okay.
I think the decision is KB, this artificial intelligence, has been the closest thing to a brain for the longest time for
Right.
us in the chum bucket. It's about time we go and see, what they think and pour over the data that they've been given by this ancient race, and then
Right.
once that's been prepared, we go to our people and we make a decision there.
All right. So, let's see. If we're going to KB, we're going to talk. We're going to either develop a relationship, or we're going to gather information, secure some kind of advantage. Those are kind of the three that make sense to me.
I think gather information. What are you thinking?
That makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we return to one of the drop pods that contains KB's intelligence, and we sit down and we share KB the knowledge. Do we remain as effectively, Iron Age peoples with no real way of improving beyond our own survival and skill, or do we take the knowledge, the bite from the fruit of the tree, of knowledge? So
Yeah.
we're going to be rolling with wits.
Oh man. Okay. I should have thought this one through. Okay. A miss.
On a miss, your investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth. We could pay the price. I don't think that's necessary. I don't know. This just sounds like to me that either KB is completely unhelpful, or they offer something that doesn't feel right to KB or to Half.
I think that KB is almost too helpful. KB provides all of these statistics, all of these odds. KB goes into sort of like a Doctor Strange. Here's the outcome of
Yeah,
5 million projected
right.
futures, on both decisions, and at the end of it, half is looking into this artificial intelligence, remembering days when the biggest thing on his mind was the storm and
Yeah,
what was happening outside of the perimeter, and how he was never meant for the stars, and yet he's seen thousands of them, and realizing that it was foolish to think a computer could give him an answer that he needs to come across, and even more importantly, him and his people need to.
true.
It was
Yeah,
always them together against the storm. I think you're totally right. I think he goes back and he calls a town meeting in the center of that plain. It almost if we're doing a zoned out shot of these two meetings, it's reminiscent of being back on the Ironlanders' home and seeing the perimeter of the storm. Only now they're rimmed by harmless trees,
Right.
and so they meet in the center. And I think it's a long, long, long discussion between just short of 10 people, a little over 10.
No, at this point, in terms of the Ironlanders, there's probably, I want to say, like more like 40, 50 people.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty decent for making a vote against the death of the universe. Um,
Now, here's the thing. I don't see what move brings
This
us
is-
beyond our final move, which is to settle the Ironlanders on the vital world.
Yeah.
Perhaps if we roll well, you get exactly what you think is what half thinks is the right choice. If we don't roll so well, maybe things are a little more complicated than that, and we have to, figure it out from there. But either way, we have 6 out of 10 progress. Not
Have
the
we
best
earned
odds. Go ahead.
Any additional progress by being here in this well defended position?
Finding the other Ironlanders was its own vow. We completed that vow, and so I gave us experience towards landing in the vital world, which gave us 6 out of 10.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
Unless we want to take more time and say, maybe we do a couple of roles that define, like, how well do we till the land? How much how well do we kind of settle? Do we have problems with our population? We can make a handful of rolls and maybe get to 7 out of 10?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that, because
right.
I want to give these people the best option we have. I mean, it's the finale. It's the last thing
Gotcha.
we're going to do before that legacy. We ought to give them the best shot they can have.
If we're going to make just a handful of rolls matter, we need 4 total successes to get to 7. So with that said, let's you and I decide right now, let's maybe say 5, so we have some room in case we fail too much. And you can argue for 6 if you really want to, but what are the 5 or 6 like big goals that we can
Roll
for this tribe?
So I think one is setting up a new council.
New
We want to
council.
go back to how we had it on the Ironlanders world, and give us a seat of government.
So it's really like, how does the government form? Like, what does it
Yeah.
look like? Because if we roll poorly, it could be a little tyrannical, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The second I think is definitely agriculture,
Right.
because your whole existence is based off how you can make the land work for you.
And I would argue, short of a miss, if we get a weak hit, maybe it's something more like we retain our hunter-gatherer kind of motif, and we don't do so much agriculture, or we're not very good at it.
Right, yeah. I think so many of these roles are like whether we are choosing to further our civilization, whether we're going into the next age and out
Sure.
of the iron. Right?
That's a great point. So if we end up having more choices that kind of define us as a hunter-gatherer tribe, we remain that way, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what's number 3?
I think number 3 is probably relations with the wildlife and societies already on the planet. I don't necessarily foresee other sentient life on our level.
Yeah.
But there's definitely wildlife. There's definitely lesser species, and I think it's all about how we interact with those, husbandry, everything we do with those materials.
For sure. What about technology? I mean, never mind the obelisk. Like, do we as a society, progress?
I love that. Yeah.
Also, chat, if anybody has any ideas, we have 4 out of 5 or 6. Feel free to chime in. Let's see. Out of the iron, into the cult of prevention of the end of the universe. Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yep, says Eli. Okay. So, do you have a 5th idea? Another pillar of society. We've got technology. We've got our relation to the planet. We've got our agriculture. We've got our government.
I think culture.
Okay.
Whether we develop cultural traditions, whether we establish a history, art, all the things that make us better thinkers and ethical.
Ethics.
Culture's all about ethics, and whether we have the morals to support ending death.
Yeah. Cultures, ethics, our art, and I just want to come up with one more so we have an option.
Okay.
Beyond culture, beyond technology, beyond a relationship to the planet, our agriculture, our governance. I feel like there's one other kind of nebulous thing.
Yeah.
What about our something that we're in control of as the Ironlanders?
Yeah.
Population. Are we
Okay.
able to like breed enough to get back to a survivable
Right.
population?
Exactly. Are we just gonna die as these 50, or do we have a future? Because we can't even think about the future of everyone else if we've got no future.
When I had Aaron on, and I don't know how true this is, but I trust Aaron's knowledge. Aaron said that as long as you have like a couple dozen people in terms of like genes, you're good. You know what I mean? You're not going to have a bunch of inbred freaks or anything like that. So we've got a nice sampling size.
Yeah, I'm sure if we roll low, we become like old monarchy, and we've all got 3 toes and 2 hands.
Yeah. All right, so with these 6 options, which would you like to roll first? Governance, agriculture, the relation to the planet, technology, our culture, or our population?
So let's go with government. I think
Okay.
let's start with that.
All right. Is there a move you think best kind of quantifies the history of our governance? I guess it's more present than that. It's not the whole history.
Yeah.
It could be. Let's see. So I'm looking at like the list of options here. We have test your relationship, take decisive action, swear a vow. That's more of a quest than a move. We can try to sojourn. We can try to go ahead.
To me, maybe develop your relationship or test your relationship, because it is how well we can come together, right?
I think that makes sense. Let's go to 229, test your relationship. All right. When your relationship with a connection is tested through conflict, betrayal, or circumstance, you must roll plus heart. If you share a bond, you may add +1. You definitely share a bond. So I think you can roll with heart +1.
Okay. Well, that's good.
It's about as good as it's going to get. Oh!
Fuck, that's not good, though.
All right. So, even with +4, on a miss, if you have no interest in maintaining this relationship, choose 1. You either lose the connection, envision how this impacts you, or you prove your loyalty, envision what you offer or what they demand, and swear an iron vow to see it done until you complete the quest. Take no benefits for this connection. If you fail your quest, the connection is permanently undone. Doesn't necessarily mean, we wipe ourselves out.
Yeah.
I kind of feel this lose the connection in the sense of maybe over time we just kind of split up and become, as would normally happen if we do any kind of agriculture, you become a little more, tribal. You're not just one giant tribe.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
To answer your question, Hollow, we are technically playing one character, but we're kind of in the end game here, so we're kind of extrapolating a little bit and just making some decisions about the entire tribe through Half's point of view. We're thinking, okay, Half is going to continue to lead the tribe for a little while, and that's why we're kind of doing those roles with Half's stats. So with a miss, we don't make any more progress. That's 6 of the potential 4. That's 1 of the potential 4. We need to make at least 4 successes to make this work. We still have 5 more options. We have now agriculture, relations to the planet, technology, our culture, and our population. What's the next one you think we should roll on?
Let's do population.
All right, hold on. I dropped my pen. Oh, God, there it is. All right, here we go. So with population, we need to find a corresponding move. I would suggest we do something that involves one of our better attributes, such as heart.
Heart, yeah.
We can, under connections, we could make a connection move, which would be with heart.
Let's do that.
Yeah, that kind of,
I think
there's
it
an
makes
implication of romance and just like, connecting with people. Go ahead and roll with heart. Real quick, let's look at your assets. Just to make sure there's nothing that we can't. There's enter the fray, secure an advantage. When you're in a fight, when you secure an advantage, no. So you will roll just with heart.
Okay.
I wish you well.
Heart. Oh man, go better than last time. Okay. Oh, thank God.
Weak hit. A weak hit is still a hit nonetheless. So on a weak hit, you create a connection, but this connection comes with a complication or a cost. Envision what they reveal or demand. I will count this as a progress towards our bigger goal, so that is 1 out of the 4. What does this look like? A weak hit on the population.
So I think our complication is that between our humble beginnings on the Ironlanders planet and the huge amount of interstellar warping travel that we've been a part of, crossing across God knows how much space and time, I think that our DNA has warped. And so we are able to reproduce, but we're showing signs of mutation.
Interesting.
I'm thinking different pigmentation to the skin color, some maladies coming forward, but there are also some benefits. I think we're changing as a people.
I think that's cool.
And I think we're becoming a little more, diverse.
That's interesting. I think that... Now, if it was a strong hit, would you say that some of these mutations would have been like psychic powers or, some particularly amazing abilities? But
if it was strong hit,
right,
we would totally go fucking X-Men with
it.
Right.
But the weak hit it's not as impressive. It's a little bit more, like you said, changes in height, changes in physicality. Maybe we grow an extra finger or something like that. Something a little less clear.
I think it may contribute to our government issues too. I think that, the natural implication for us as humans, unfortunately, is to be very me versus them, us versus them. And I think that there are some issues still within our society that end up seeing this as like a signal that things are going wrong within the society, that things are going wrong with our people. We're hurting, we're changing,
and it explains why we sort of start breaking ourselves off. Some folks who don't have these new abnormalities or whatever, kind of congregate together, that kind of thing. That is a progress. That's good. We have 4 more options: agriculture, our relation to the planet, technology, and our culture. What's the next one we want to
So I think relation to the planet should go next.
I was just thinking about this, and I think facing danger is maybe an appropriate role.
Oh, I totally think so.
So if we're going to face danger, there are the options of edge, heart, iron shadow, or wits. What would you like to roll with?
I'm thinking going with I think heart here again, because I think that we want to go away from on our original planet. We were so into hunting because we had to. The storm was coming along.
Right.
There was no move for farming, and if you were farming, it had to be mobile, and keeping animals was harder then. But I think we're starting to realize we can do that here. We can, understand the husbandry side of things. We can be innovators and find the wildlife and put them to work with us, not against us.
So if we're using heart, which is resolve, command, or sociability, I think we can flavor that as half, deciding agriculture is the way to go and kind of pushing the tribe to it. I don't believe when we face danger any of our assets can help, but I will double check. Enter the fray. Securing advantage. No. You will roll face danger, you will roll heart, and let's hope it's good.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Thank God.
That is more progress to our goal. I'm going to mark it for us under our vows. Another check mark, a strong hit. On a strong hit, you are successful. You can take +1 momentum. So we'll increase our momentum to 4 in case that becomes useful. We've talked about our relation to the planet. We have agriculture, technology, and culture. And Hollow says they find out rotting milk is just cheese. I think that's
There you go.
agriculture, technology, or culture. What's next on the docket?
Oh my god. Let's get technology because I'm pretty sure that's not going to go well.
All right, technology being what we want to roll for. What kind of freaking move do we do for that?
Yeah.
We could check our gear, which is a bizarre way of extrapolating technology. We could confront chaos.
What about secure an advantage?
I like that. I like that. We will secure an advantage when you assess a situation, make preparations, or attempt to gain leverage. I think all those things you do with technology.
Yeah.
You can roll with either edge, heart, iron, shadow, or wits.
So under Weapon Master, it says when you secure an advantage by
Mhm.
suiting up and gathering your gear for a perilous encounter or a mission, you may roll plus supply. If you do take +2 momentum on a hit, would that be available here? Because
I
we
think so.
are, taking everything we have in order to uh, push technology forward.
Absolutely. I think in this final moment here where we're trying to give the Iron Laners the best send off we can, I think it's the least we can do. So go ahead. You
Yeah.
will roll with your supply, and if you succeed, you gain +2 on your momentum. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my roles. This could easily be an Ela situation.
Right.
We've got, we're troll meat, man.
See how we do. I can't
Yeah.
believe it. I
Oh my
can't believe
god.
it. Even with 8 on your action score, you roll a miss on technology. Now let's read
That's
real quick.
incredible.
On a miss, you fail or your assumptions betray you. Pay the price. I think we should pay the price because maybe it'll help us define what this is. Roll a d100.
Okay.
And let me know what you get.
55.
A 55 on facing danger or paying the price, excuse me. A friend, companion, or ally is in harm's way, or you if you are alone. We're not alone. So a friend, companion, or ally is in harm's way, or put in harm's way. How would you extrapolate this when it comes to technology?
Yeah, man.
I mean, look, we all have that knowledge that technology can be a rabbit hole in its own way, right? A distraction, or it can be
Yeah.
dangerous when we obsess over the weapons side of technology.
I was also thinking maybe this is attached to KB.
Mm,
I mean, KB is an AI that was a part of our ship and is now segmented into these escape pods. And
right.
how long does that technology last without us being able to facilitate it?
True.
Um, I don't know though.
S-
Well, I'm sort of lost here.
You feel a little lost. Well, welcome to Starforged. Here's what I'm thinking though. Like a miss on technology, my gut tells me we don't get very far
Yeah,
without the assistance of
the
this
obelisk.
obelisk or KB. Like you said, maybe KB's things start shutting down, and there's very few of them remaining that work. I think really, unless you have a better option, the only option we define is that the current path of the Iron Landers is technology is not progressing very fast. They're not at first embracing the gifts that are being offered.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, that's
I think
okay.
that's the way we
We
gotta
still
go.
have 2 options. If we roll a weak or a strong hit on either of these, on both of these options, we still get that number 7, right? That's 7
Yeah.
progress. So we have agriculture and we have culture left. Which one would you like to roll on next?
Let's go with culture.
All right,
Um,
we're
I'm trying to
rolling to
think
see what our
moves
culture would
wise.
be like. Let's look at what our options are in terms of moves.
What do you think of like gather information? Because essentially we're building a repository.
Yeah, yeah. We are building a repository. That makes sense. We would also, let's see, Hearten is a recover move, and I
Okay.
think that Art certainly heals in its own way. Hearten, kind of implies a social dynamic more than necessarily like a health dynamic.
I'm down with that.
So between Hearten and what was your other option? Gather
Information.
gather
Gather
information.
information.
I think both are worth looking at. So if we gather information, we would have to roll wits. But if we, what did I say it was? If we
Hearten.
hearten, which is a recovering move, where'd you go? There we go. If you were to hearten, you would roll plus heart.
Well, you know which one I'm picking, Serge.
Yes.
Apparently, I need all the help I can get.
Nothing with hearten under our assets, so we're just going to have to roll plus heart.
Whew, okay.
As Eli always loves to say, we are always rolling with heart. All heart.
Oh, all heart.
Yep. So let's go ahead and roll that.
Oh my
man.
god.
Damn.
Wow. This is not going well. That's our last chance, right? Yeah, right?
On a miss, you take no comfort and the situation worsens. Pay the price.
Wow.
We can do. I don't think we have to pay the price. Heartening on a miss. What does that mean? Look, culture is inevitable. You cannot be a human race and not have culture. But what does it mean when it's not necessarily a weak hit or a strong hit?
To me, it means that maybe our culture is segmented. I mean, it's an issue with real life just as well as you have dominant cultures and then non-dominant cultures, and those smaller cultures are always fighting for representation within the whole. And maybe that's just what it happens is we're already tribal. We've split up. We've now changed as people physically at the DNA level.
Right.
And we're struggling to find common ground. I think we're being segmented on both sides of, yes, we take this deal, we save the world. And the other half of, no, we need to figure out what's happening here because look at the issues.
I think that's kind of interesting because what inevitably happens is that Hart's decision to not accept the gift is kind of it's kind of like delaying the inevitable kind of vibe, you know what I mean? Like our humanity or the Ironlanders end up in this kind of middle road, not really progressing, not really suffering, just not really going as much as we want or as far as we want.
I think that hampers their development too. I think a big reason why our story is now becoming all of these missed roles is everyone is so obsessed with whether we should make the decision to save everyone or save no one, that we cannot focus on how to best serve our community.
This is interesting. I like these big ideas. With that said, we still only have 6 out of 10 progress for our big final vow. I will say this. Even if we roll a miss on this, I don't think it... All it really does mechanically is it just either gives us more or less points towards our final legacy rolls. We still have 3 legacy rolls. If you look under the legacy tab, there is our quests, our bonds, and our discoveries. We roll on each of those, and if we roll well on 1 or 2 of them, we can, decide what happens in a positive light. So it's not the end of the road yet. So with 6 out of 10 progress, I think it's time to make this roll. I want you to click that fulfill button next to the 6 out of 10, and let's see what we get. Interesting.
Oh, wow.
A weak hit. So, we're going to go to fulfill our vow.
The one time I actually hit something. God damn.
When you reach the end of your quest, roll the challenge dice and compare your progress. On a weak hit, your vow is fulfilled. You may mark a reward on your legacy track. We'll say that this is part of your quest track. Hold on, let's see. On you realize that... But there is more to be done or you realize the truth of your quest. If you swear an iron vow, you may go on this, but we're not going to swear an iron vow. I think we're at a crossroads, and I think an oracle roll might be best. You tell me if I'm wrong. 51 or greater, we do what you think is best. Either we don't take the knowledge from the fruit of the tree of the obelisk, or we do.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
I want to take this weird obelisk steal, and I think Half does too.
Okay.
I mean, I think it should be up to the oracle, but that is my belief. If the oracle roll is positive, we take the deal.
So 51 or greater, we take the deal. Roll a d100. This will decide the fate of possibly the entire universe. Let's see. Roll a d100.
Oh my god. I hate this because this is I guess this is the story of my TTRPG career, but this is a prison I made myself. Oh my god. With a Delta Green double critical success.
That would be considered a critical success. A 77. Yes, we take the deal that this obelisk offers, the knowledge that it offers. I think without even needing to roll, we can make some big decisions, such as technology increases, our standard of life increases, our population increases, we figure out the issues with these mutations. Things definitely get better in some sense, at least for the Ironlanders.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a boost in technology, and with the use of the obelisk, the progenitor technology and those sentient machines begin to invest themselves into Ironlander's life. Becomes a part of every day, I think.
Amazing. So what is left now is to go to our Legacy Seeds page. We have, of all the quests we've been doing, we've been tracking them. I will increase our tracking to quests to 9. So we have 9 out of 10 on our quests. We have 4 out of 10 on our bonds, not the best. And we have, I believe it's 7 out of 10 for our discoveries, which is not bad. So each one, let me pull up real quick what these legacy moves mean. I was reading it earlier, and I just want to make sure we get this right. So face desolation, recover, legacy. Okay. When you retire from your life as Iron Sworn, you are going to roll on each of the legacy tracks, quest, bonds, and discoveries, 1 roll per track. And each one is going to either be a strong hit, a weak hit, or a miss. And we'll kind of decide what happens there. So,
oh god.
The Ironlanders get very advanced. We decide that. Let's decide with our quests roll whether we leave this planet. Do we ever leave the vault, right?
Okay.
Go ahead and roll. If you look at the quest, there is a roll button on the right-hand side. Go ahead and make that roll.
A weak hit.
Interesting. Wow. A 10 and an 8 on the challenge die. We still rolled really well with a 9. That is a weak hit. For each weak hit, choose 1 from below or 1 from the miss options. See it through. Choose one of the former characters' unfinished quests, and you see it through to the end. Rebuild a connection or explore familiar ground. We're not really going to go into too much depth with these, but which of those kind of sounds like what the Ironlanders do? Do we see it through? Do we rebuild a connection? Or do we explore familiar ground?
I got a great idea.
Tell me.
I think it's explore familiar ground. I think that through all of this technology, through all of this advancement, the Ironlanders are working with the obelisk to discover what it is exactly that ends everything. And it suddenly becomes clear through the research. I mean, years down the line, they finally realize what it is. And it is that eventually a storm is going to engulf the galaxy. And that storm comes from the Ironlanders' home planet.
Interesting.
That storm is destined one day to supernova, essentially, and travel across nebula and take everything with it. And so, exploring familiar ground, I think that we do return to the galaxy eventually to go back home and to start studying our home planet and realizing things about it that we had never fully realized when we were only concern for the storm.
Gotcha. I think that's very interesting. Chat is blowing up. Hollow continues to be an incredible troll with, I was going to say NFTs, but that works too. I'm going to miss those Hollow comments. All right, so yes, we go out into the stars. We leave having mastered the technology of the progenitors, and we start working on stopping this storm from destroying, our galaxy, the Forge, where we live. Next, we're going to go to our bonds roll. This is, I think, what would be appropriate for our bonds roll is to define what is our relationship with the rest of the universe. Like, there's the jungle, there's the Sacro Shamu, there's other intelligent possible life here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's appropriate that this is the role because it's not the best. I don't know if we're going to have the best relationship with
Yeah.
the intelligent life.
I mean, I think a lot of people are going to deny us. I think it's very easy to write off people who are trying to solve something that's going to happen, such and such years off the front. And so I think this Bond's role definitely comes down to how well our message is received and what the Ironlanders are trying to accomplish.
Make that roll. Click roll, and let's see what happens.
Oh, come on. I want to keep the space whales, man. Oh, well, we knew it was coming.
A complete miss. So I'm just going to throw out there, I think that there's like a Forge-sized war. The jungle, this gigantic corporation that thinks it runs everything, is going to throw everything it has at us. Once we ran from the jungle, now we are on par, if not even more powerful than the jungle. What else?
I think, unfortunately, some years down the line, the Shamus go extinct. We lose them throughout the galaxy.
What about the space whales, though? Those are almost more important to us.
I think the space whales are okay.
They don't pose a real They don't pose like an intelligence threat to us. They're just creatures,
I think that they go like on like a pilgrimage almost, like a. You know how in Lord of the Rings the elves are like, the world is fucked up, dude. We're gonna peace out. I think the space whales are like, I don't want any fucking part of this shit.
This is giving me Hitchhiker's Guide vibes, where the dolphins are like, see you later.
Yes, exactly. They're like, this is your mess, goodbye.
Yes, all that we have left of the space whales, as Hollow says, are marketable plushies. That's all that remains of the species that eventually swims away to get away from all the warring and destruction that kind of occurs. Finally, our discoveries track. Maybe this is the definition of, do we solve the problem? Do we help the universe extend as far as it can? Do we jump into the next iteration of the universe? Do we go as far as possible? That's what this role, I think, implies to me.
Woo! Okay.
So with 7 out of 10,
a weak hit.
A weak hit. Again, you either see it through, you rebuild a connection, or you explore familiar ground. What do you think?
Oh, man. Got it. I think we see it through. I think by the time that we solve it, by the time that it all comes to a fruition, or at least we have an answer, it's almost as though the Ironlanders are imperceptible from the progenitors. We are. It's just us. I mean, the war is over. The remnants have all come in. There are still splinter groups and everything against us, but the majority of the galaxy has decided finally, okay, we're going to do it.
I find that very interesting. I find it interesting that we end up finding ourselves in the same place as the progenitors. Maybe what happened to us may have happened to the progenitors. They were like, we're trying to do something here, and there was pushback about it in the universe.
Well, I think you know me, I love to tie things up from when we started off. I think that we discover in our answers, in the long history that we have post-war, we discover that the bodies that were left behind on that original planet, not all of them were the original Ironlanders. Some of them were the progenitors who left the vaults themselves, coming back to solve the problem and losing themselves to the storm. So these people who we revered as ancestors and waypoints throughout the storm,
interesting,
were always us in a weird cyclical way that we've come back around and we have rejoined this effort that we never really realized we'd been a part of, or at least near from the beginning.
I'd like you to paint kind of the final picture here. In many ways, I bet we don't even look human. I mean, but by this point, we might all be within an obelisk of some kind. You know what I mean? What does it look like for humanity to move to the next step, possibly the next universe?
So I think that it is a long ancestral line back to the original Ironlanders. I don't even know that it's. I think that it's someone loosely related to Hath,
Hmm.
who a lot of people refer to as the first, right? And that long line has led itself into these people who have finally found the answer.
Yeah.
So I think this person who has taken over the helm of what Hath had set up so long ago on a planet where that storm raged on takes this armada of people from every lick of the galaxy, every corner, all these people that we've met. I mean, by now, of course, the space whales have come back because they're like, oh shit, it's back together. And so I'm picturing just this massive congregation around the planet where that storm is raging on, and it's now started to take into the solar system, orbiting it. And we've all just sort of gathered around this massive supernova. Um, and there is just this sullen sort of silence amongst everyone around as we're realizing the ramifications of thousands of years of people who just wanted to do the right thing, just wanted to do right by their people. And so it's this brief look into us riding through the storm and moving our small, Iron Age camps, and of us taking to the skies and becoming Starforged and all of these things, and then it eventually comes back to that picture of us all around the storm, and that first Ironlander, that new leader, that new person who is going to tell our story in the next thousand, um, you know, presses the button
Yeah.
and resets that unfair ending to our galaxy. Um, and I think with that, we go home to our new home. With this planet being taken over by that storm and that storm now dissipated, we fly back through the vault. We land back with our new people, everyone looking wildly different in this utopian world. And we land in that crop circle. Um, and I think the camera pans out from there,
Wow.
with a job well done.
Well, we had a raid right as you were kind of like starting that monologue, and it's hilarious to me that this raid happens right at the end of our massive epic ending. Guys, if you want to see this, if you missed it, it will eventually be on our playback, and it will be on our YouTube. Caleb, I couldn't think of a better way to have ended this Starforged game. Epic. You were blowing everybody's mind in the chat. What a great session.
Thank you, and thank you for running it, Serge. When we first started talking about doing this project, I mean, we all were so psyched from the beginning, and I remember so much excitement out of all of us after we finished that session 0 and really realized what this thing was going to be. But I don't think anyone guessed how far you were going to take it. And I'm emotional, man. It feels so good to give us a good ending.
Absolutely. It's always good to bring a game to a close. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's games where you run it for years and years, and I'm sure when you bring one of those to a close, it's very emotional. But anytime there's closure, there's nothing worse than leaving a game or a campaign hanging and you don't know what happened, in the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's always fun to do that. And you know what? I really have to thank our listeners and our patrons and our Twitch subscribers. You guys certainly give us the inspiration to come here and do this. It's been so fun sharing the story with you, getting your insights and your crazy ideas and adding them to our story. We've certainly had a few NPCs and a few events that have been affected by our chat. But, this is the end of Starforged. Doesn't mean we won't ever return to it again, but it's also the beginning of something new. We will continue every Tuesday to stream something. We do have some exciting news where our friend Vince, who runs our Orpheus campaign, is planning to run a one-on-one, one-person, similar to what we were doing with StarForged, Knight's Black Agent campaign. And for those of you unfamiliar, that's basically a vampire game. Not Vampire the Masquerade, but it is heavily centered around Dracula and vampires. And he has this cool idea. He wants to run us through this short campaign where we will follow a similar method, where I or Caleb or any of the other Maydayers will show up and run the same character to see if we can make it to the end of the campaign. Hopefully we do. So that's something exciting that we've got coming up that will be for a couple of weeks. In between those, because I think he's going to do it every other Tuesday, we'll fill that with either me coming on and doing a little painting stream, just, kind of chill, relaxing, and I'll paint some minis, or we'll have somebody else come on and do something else. All of this getting ready for the wrap up of our Orpheus game, which is coming to a close. Book 1 is coming to a close. There are still many chapters left, but we'll take a little break from that. And after that, we will have another campaign that my buddy Caleb is planning to run. Are you ready to say anything about it yet?
Yeah, in June, Mayday is going to take on Vampire the Masquerade for the first time. I'm stepping into the role of storyteller, and it'll be my first time GMing for Mayday as far as we've gone, and it's going to be centered in Las Vegas. So I'm going to be taking these folks through a pretty long excursion into Sin City, and trying to bring out those darker sides with Vampire the Masquerade, and I'm really excited to step into it. We're going to be streaming it right here on our channel, and we're going to have a full group with us. It's going to be very exciting to see happen. So please check in with us in June. Watch out for that Vampire the Masquerade campaign, and come out and support.
Vegas by night. I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I wanted to say one more thing before we bring this to a close. Everyone, we ran Ironsworn and Starforged. If you liked the game, please go to ironswornrpg.com. I believe Starforged or starforgedrpg.com is where you can find Starforged. Although they haven't shipped the books yet, I think you can buy it and have it shipped to you when it's ready. Please support them. Please support Sean Tompkin, who has been incredibly supportive of us. He has often retweeted us and supports us in other ways, and we're just so grateful to him. And to you guys, to our patrons. Guys, we do have a Patreon. If you would like to subscribe, you can, or subscribing to our Twitch is another wonderful way of supporting us. So, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me be the GM of this great game. Caleb, thank you for a wonderful final game. You have such wonderful descriptive skills, and you've got so much creativity. I know that the Vegas VTM is going to be incredible.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, man. I really love you for saying that.
All right, guys, go ahead.
I just wanted to remind people, too, that we have Doomed to Repeat Season 2 that's still coming out. Next Friday, we'll have a brand new episode. I'm sure some of you have tuned in already for the last one and seen just how wild we've gotten. I promise you, that is the bottom of the scale for this season. I wish I could say anything else. But it gets worse for us, better for you. Right. So stick in.
Right. The viewers love listening to your pain. But yeah, absolutely. We can't wait to finish releasing those episodes. Guys, thank you again. We love you, and we will see you next time. All right? Bye.